Hey all, welcome back to another episode of the SWU Report. This is going to be episode 3 of part 2, since Alex and I like to talk, it seems. Who'd have thought that hosts on the show like to talk? So we split the leaders up. So this is the back half of the Ashes of the Empire leaders. Few things I do want to mention up front that I'm not always great at mentioning, and some that I am great. Let's start with the ones I'm great at mentioning. Today, we got a baseballism, kind of American baseball hat to go with my Bomb Pop jersey. I know I'm kind of crossing over sports, but U.S. plays a little bit later today in the World Cup. So, yeah, gotta support the boys and hope for the best this year.
Nice. Is Australia today?
Yes. Yeah. Australia today. So we'll see how that goes. I think I've got a good feeling, and this will be, I think a good test to see if we really are a better kind of more together team this year. I think historically Australia kind of plays a similar game to, the historic US game that, let's say maybe leans more on athleticism than skill. So we'll see how we match up this time around. I've got my fingers crossed.
Yeah, something will happen, and I'm sure it'll be exciting.
Yes, something. Oh man. So the things I'm not always good about remembering to mention. Number 1, if you guys are enjoying this video, click like and subscribe. Wow, do I feel weird saying that sort of thing, because we all know we hate it when creators like harp on that kind of thing in the videos. But let's be real, we have to. So, like, subscribe, try to get us some more reach. Also, take a look at rating us on your podcast apps, be that iTunes or whatever your podcatcher of choice is. Take a look at the SWU.report website. That's not .com or anything. It's just SWU.report. Hop in there, take a look at the written articles that are also being published. Some of them align with episodes like deck techs. Some of them are completely different topics. So go in, take a look at the meta-analysis tab there. You can get some interactive charts of the APR stuff I've been working with. And also, now that I'm adding podcasting and video hosting and that sort of thing on here, please consider taking a look at supporting the Ko-fi or Ko-fi. I think it's pronounced coffee. No one knows, right? But anyway, consider throwing us a little bit. I'm not looking to make a quick buck out of this. I'm just looking to cover hosting costs. So yeah, if you want to throw us a $1 a month or something, that would be superb. All right. There we go. That's the kind of stuff I tend to forget to mention that I really should.
I'm proud of you. How does it feel having said all that? Like, does it weight off your chest, or are you now like?
It's weird. It's a weight off my chest. Yet I also feel a little dirty. Is that accurate? I think so. Yeah.
I mean, there you go. That's, if I've ever heard a reason to support someone, that's it. You feel bad about asking for it. There we go.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, give us likes and subscribes and ratings and that sort of thing. I feel better about that. I know we already got some good feedback from people about part 1 of this episode that went up at this point yesterday. So yeah, I hope folks get some useful stuff out of it, and I'm ready to dive in if you are, Alex, unless of course you have anything you'd like to mention at the top.
No, I think you've covered all the important things. We've covered football. We've covered liking, subscribing. Let's go have some hot takes, or not that hot takes.
Yeah. Ooh, let's see if we wildly disagree on anything this time around. Let's see. Who'd we leave off on? Bo-Katan, right?
Yeah, we're up to Bo-Katan.
All right. Now I admit I forget who we're up on if we're alternating. Do you want to start this episode or me?
You know what? Yes, I can start this episode. I think now I'm trying to do the math. There were 9, so I think I started last episode, so I also finished last episode, but I'm happy to start this one as well.
Okay. Well, I've already done a bunch of talking, so carry on.
That works for me. Okay, so we've got Bo-Katan Kryze. She is command and heroism, and on her leader side, it's an action to spend 2 resources if you control a unit in each arena to create a Mandalorian token. And then she flips on 10. However, that 10 is decreased by 1 for each friendly Mandalorian unit you control. So you have 2 Mandalorian units on the board. She flips at 8 instead of 10. So with that, she is a 4/7, and her unit ability is other friendly Mandalorians get +1/+0, and her on attack is if you control a unit in each arena, create a Mandalorian token. So that flip is expensive, right? Like to really get the benefit out of it as a 4/7. That stat line says to me that she's looking to flip on 6, which means having 4 Mandalorians on the board. Because you look at that, the 7 cost leader, you've got something like Luke, who's he's a 6/7, 5/7.
Luke, the new Luke leader.
Yeah, new Luke leader is
6/7.
6/7. There we go. So 7 resources is 6/7 versus Bo-Katan being a 4/7. Now, her on attack is strong if you control a unit in each arena. Making a token, that's great, but in a lot of ways, I think she falls down as a win more, right? Like boards are wider than they were before rotation, but she has to have essentially 4 things on the board to get value out of them. Mandalorian units or tokens are ground units, but that means she needs ground and space. Ideally, they're both Mandalorian, which means she needs to be dropping Mandalorians from the start. And there's just not a lot of low-cost Mandalorian units at this point.
There really, really aren't. It's kind of tricky here. Okay. We got multiple notes here that I think you made really good points on. One is the Mandalorian tokens. I mean, it's great that they're shielded, so they're a little stickier to try to get stuff on board that she needs, but they're all going to ground. So that means you've got to have some stuff going to space. There's not a lot, at least Mandalorian wise, like you said, you want this to be Mandalorian ideally, but there's not a lot of space presence there, and that stuff is not protected. So it gives your opponent, I think, a really easy target of where to hit to keep you off of triggering her ability. And here on the leader side, you have to already have that unit, in each arena to even be able to trigger that leader ability. So it's not like it's actually helping you build. It's not fueling the engine really by itself. It needs something else for that. So I just feel like she's going to be pretty awkward. I mean, there's going to be gimmick decks that want to play her, like people that just enjoy Mandalorians and that swarm. And I know we're trying to keep this focused on Premiere, but I'm sure some folks are going to have a blast with her in Twin Suns, where you can probably wheel and deal, keep the focus elsewhere, so you can try to build a horde. But yeah, in Premiere, I think she's going to be just a little too clunky. I mean, we've got 1-2 cost Mandalorian in Premiere to start her from turn 1.
Right. There's the 2/4 Bo-Katan unit, and I think that might be it for turn ones. I mean, one thing I will give her is on her flip side, she does count as the ground unit. So you once again just need stuff in space.
Right.
So it is the ground kind of replenishes, but she is dependent on, and like maybe that's fine if you're playing a mid-range deck that's not space focused, but man, that's rough. I'm gonna go
Maybe. Yeah.
D. Um, and really I'm just giving her D because I don't want to give her F. Like I feel like she's like
She's not Fennec level.
she's not Fennec level bad. There is still some kind of benefit she's offering. But it's rough. Maybe eventually an Eternal, honestly, as we get more units.
Mhm.
Then it'll be a full like Mandalorian set thing she can do, a couple years down the road. But that's rough.
Yeah, no, that's a great point about Eternal. We've already had a good chunk of Mandos there, and there are definitely some cheaper ones. Without pulling up a search to go digging into that right now, I'm pretty sure there's a couple 2-drop blue Mandalorians that could probably slot in for her. But in Premiere, and especially with that space kind of weakness, and with several of the top, or at least most populous decks leading up to the Ash release anyway, being heavily space focused, like they're going to be primed to keep her off of triggering this. So yeah, I think D is pretty accurate.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to flip the tables and surprise absolutely no one with the next leader.
Yeah. I don't think we are likely to be too far off on this one either. So next up, we've got Cad Bane, and for anybody that knew me in the Shadows meta, I really love Cad, so I'm excited for a new one. So here we go. This one is Aggression Villainy. Action: deal 1 damage to a unit with 2 or more remaining HP. Then he deploys on 6 as a 4/7, and he has Overwhelm. And on attack, you may deal 1 damage to a unit with 2 or more remaining HP. So, yeah, there we go. This is the new ping leader we have for the set. Does not cost any resources for that ability, which I think is already a huge point in his favor. Being able to throw that out there, chip away at stuff. Sure, he's generally never killing anything. Unless you get into some shenanigans with, say, boosted HP from upgrade, and then you're removing that upgrade. But he still just kind of creates this compounding issue that combines so well with a lot of the red removal, topple the summit, any of the other damage events. Plus, he can just help you generate really efficient trades. On the leader side, unit side, I think the 4/7 stats at 6 are pretty well on rate, and Overwhelm is a nice little bonus. I think there are definitely some other leaders kind of in this kind of ability and stat rate range that don't also get a keyword for upside. So I think there's a lot to love about him. I think he's primed to be the new kind of meta control choice, maybe even over Dedra.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think you're being, if anything, not positive enough about him. Like, I'm not at the point of saying he is like a Django Boba ban level good, but I do think he is meta warping in at least a small way. He is. I would go as far as to say he is the best ping leader we have had. He essentially doesn't have, like, yes, he can't do the last damage to something, but almost everything has more than 1 HP. So you have your security droid he can't ping the shield off of. But
Leppy, look out, baby.
right, yeah. But like as a whole, right? Like, standard turn one play, like, because so much of the meta has been you're dealing with things like Talzin where you don't want something with 1 HP because they're threatening for them to just remove it. He's doing that trading, getting that benefit every single turn. And so you think about that, and by his flip turn, you've done what, 5, 6 with his Han attack, extra damage from his leader ability. So that's a lot of benefit to be offering. And then you have all the cards, like you mentioned, that combo with that, right? So, yeah, he can't do the, no good to me dead combo where you put them down to 1 and then use it to take them out or something like that. But, like, you have, what is it, the new droid that's 6 for 3/7 that does 2 damage unless the Dunas attacking is already damage, in which case it does 5.
Yep.
Like, that makes opponents' leaders, leader units struggle to be sticky because, Cad can ping them and that's 5 more damage and that's 6 damage. And okay, your best leaders have 7 health, so you're looking at 1 more damage to take that thing out. And it's possible Cad pings, they flip, Cad pings on his leader side, he flips, he pings on his unit side, and then the droid will take them out. Things like that, right? So he's just offering a huge amount of value. And so looking at Premiere for this set, and I've said it a few times in episode 1, is everything. Part of the question for any deck is now, can it beat Cad? And if it can't beat Cad, I'm not sure. Like, unless something so definitively beats him, I'm not sure there's a deck that works that can't beat him. So, like, that's my problem with Sabine. I mentioned that is she has a great ability if Cad doesn't exist. But because Cad can remove shields, he can just take care of all of that. Everything has to work around him. So he is my S tier for the set.
Yeah, I think S is a very reasonable option for him, and I am hard pressed to find a reason to rate him any lower than that. And I definitely agree. He's likely to cause some, let's say, filtering effect, even if there are other top tier decks. For examples so far, your Landos and what have you. Like you said, anything that can't account for Cad, I fully expect, certainly for Galactics, to be filtered out by him, and not be making, say the top 8 or at least day 2, that type of thing. So I am curious what effect that then is going to have on how we see that top 8 play out once things have filtered. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the data, let's say.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with you. I think at Galactics, he's going to play a very similar role to Han, Set 2 Han, where Han was he even in the top 8? I'm not sure if he was. He wasn't in the top 4.
Off the top of my head, I don't think he was without digging that back up.
But he was, same thing. He was sort of that, mid to late game filter deck that everyone had to have a solution for, who had to be able to beat. And I think Cad is going to be the same thing, which, it's, especially if you don't have a lot of time to train, he's probably a good choice for what to bring. For me, I never want to be playing the meta deck, which means I don't want to play Cad.
Right.
But I have to figure out what I can play that can deal with Cad.
Yeah, that is always the trick. That's why we test, right?
Right.
I don't yet have a bead on what that might be, but that's something we can maybe explore in the future. That might be too wide a scope for this episode.
Right.
But I will say, I know I keep bringing up other formats, but I will also say, since you mentioned Eternal earlier with Bo-Katan, I am curious if there might be some kind of interesting double red Cad Bane Tarkin Town floating around in Eternal. Just, man, that could just yeah, really. I mean, Tarkin Town already is great and can really set off some plays, but I'm looking forward to seeing what could happen there as well. So anyway, that's
absolutely. I mean, let's. I mean, you want to talk Twin Sons? Let's talk about Cad Bane Aura Singh, or Cad Bane Jango Fett, things like that, right? So
Cad Bane.
The double thing. Yep.
Your options were better, I think, but still.
All right, ready to move on to Vane?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so Vane is our other aggression villainy leader. I mean, sidebar, I am excited for Skeleton Crew characters to be showing up. I love that show.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah. But Vane, so action, you can exhaust him and defeat a friendly upgrade to deal 2 damage to a base. And then he flips on 5. It is a 3/6. And on attack, you may defeat a friendly upgrade, and if you do, deal 2 damage to the defending unit or base. So when I first saw Vane, I was like, okay, maybe there's really a cool aggro deck here to be built, right? Where advantage tokens are frankly the obvious upgrades to do here. They're the ones that are the least valuable. They disappear after 1 attack. They give +1 damage, but now you're doing 2 instead. But there's just not quite enough early game aggro juice with that to get that +1 damage ping consistently to do stuff in villainy right now. Like I think there's, I'm like, you could do maybe yellow with the, you have some of those, like your 2/2 shielded ship, and you can throw away the shield for the 2 damage, things like that. So there's like a little bit of juice, but I'm just not sure it's offering as much value as, something like a Pilot Vader or so I'm just not seeing him come together. And so is it a D tier? Maybe a high D. It's like theoretically with another set, but I don't know that we can count on getting a token that's offers as little value as an advantage token anytime soon. So I'm going to end up with a D as well. He's doing something, but it's not a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're not too far off. He's another one I was excited about at kind of that first blush. But then I started looking into the pool more and realized advantage tokens are not as easy to repeatedly come by anyway as I had thought or wanted. Really, a lot of them are tied to one-time effects when played, or an event or something like that. And I think those type of things are a little trickier to manage with Vane versus recurring. We do get his ship, of course, which can generate it turn after turn. And there's the the Boken sword, and I think there's a yellow upgrade that generates 1 advantage a turn. So there's some possibility, and they're upgrades themselves, so they can eventually be sacrificed to him if need be. And at that point, I guess you're looking yellow red. So maybe you're playing the new Balin unit, which is also recurring. But he's 6 cost, and playing upgrades to wait and generate an advantage token at the end of that turn is not exactly a speedy, rush kind of effect here, or at least a pace to go with that effect. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a little too clunky. I'm gonna maybe go a little higher on the off chance someone else figures out a better route here off of, I don't know, shields or something, or a mix of different token types. So I'm gonna go C and hold out hope.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. There's that heroism yellow ship that every time your opponent attacks your base, you get an advantage token. If it weren't in heroism, but it is.
Yeah. Totally a different side note we haven't really delved into so far, but the art. Does something seem wonky with his like arms here? Like, I don't know, like he's withering away.
Yeah, it does seem a little bit strange, and maybe it's just the perspective and it's like rumpled clothing, but yeah, it does seem a little bit weird.
Yeah. Okay. Glad I'm not the only one on that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's kick it over to the heroic side of things then. I think I'm up with Ezra, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we're on heroic aggression now. Ezra Bridger. When a friendly unit's attack ends, if it dealt 3 or more combat damage to a base, you may exhaust this leader. If you do, give an advantage token to a different unit. Then he deploys on 5 as a 3/6, and he has Saboteur. And when a friendly unit's attack ends, if it dealt 3 or more combat damage to a base, you may give an advantage token to a different unit. So the exact same ability on this side. And, this is another kind of aggressive looking ability to start with. Obviously, we're in the aggression aspect, so that makes sense, right? Stats on the unit side are, I think, pretty reasonable for a 5, 3/6 with a keyword. Saboteur's nice. At least while he's out, he's looking to trigger that ability, getting around sentinels. On the leader side, I do like both that there's no cost, and like I mentioned in the first episode, that his ability is a reaction, despite that not strictly speaking being a term in this game. And I do think both of those things normally give a leader ability or a leader a leg up based on that ability. But I do kind of wonder here, we've had leaders in the past that looked strong on paper, but had this same sort of, hey, you got to do at least 3 damage, right? I'm looking at you, Cassian from SOR. In a vacuum, that seemed really strong, and it never really got there. The current pool is a little different, obviously, but I would also say that this ability is worse. 1 advantage token is strictly worse than a draw, and you've got to have the other unit for it to go on. I'm just kind of thinking that if you're looking for some kind of heroic aggro deck that's kind of buffing its units and stuff, you're probably getting more mileage out of Ahsoka than Ezra, really. So, I was maybe a little bit generous to Vane. So I sort of feel like Ezra, I should probably put in a similar boat. He's probably fine. Probably gets you a little extra value here and there, but I don't think he's got it in him to go above a C.
Okay, so I think I'm a little more positive on Ezra than you are.
Okay.
So for heroic aggro, the one thing that he obviously wants to be aggro, right? It's attack the base.
Oh yeah.
Versus Ahsoka doesn't necessarily want to be aggro. And I honestly think a lot of it has to do with about the colors, right? So Ezra is red, and I think right now red yellow is your ideal heroic, really your ideal aggro colors. And Ezra has that, whereas Ahsoka would have to be green, red, green, yellow, or honestly, I'd be tempted to run her blue to do more of a slower game. Focus more on those unit trading and things like that. So to me, how Ezra does in the meta, I believe, really depends on what the meta does. Because to really maximize that ability, you want to be dropping turn 1 plays that have 3 attack, which means you're looking at more like your 3-1, your 4-1, things like that, which means that they are vulnerable to Talzin. But if Cad Bane replaces Talzin in the meta and suddenly your one health units are safer in a weird way, maybe that's okay. I think the thing that actually concerns me the most about this is just thinking about the sequencing for round 1 and 2. So even say you have initiative, you play round 1, they play, you take initiative. You want to get this ability. You have, and say you manage to lane dodge too.
Okay.
You still have something in play that you want to play another unit and give your opponent the opportunity to remove one of your units before you attack. Normally aggro, right? You want to attack first, make sure your unit's still there, and then you'll play something else and hopefully claim initiative. And that just sequencing just doesn't work with his ability. And now his ability, like when you flip him, it's not limited to once per turn. You can do it with all of your units, which suggests going wide. But usually going wide is 1 or 2 attack units. So I think there's something there. I do really like that his leader side has Saboteur. I think there's a lot of really good ground Sentinel right now. This set alone added both the Merrick, the Trooper, the 4/3 shielded, and
the Trooper's so good.
Yeah, and Shin, right? So you have 3 new blue villainy Sentinels that are just all top tier. Shin, just because she's 5 for 6/6 and has an additional ability. So having something that can get past that to close out a game potentially feels really significant. But I'm going to put Ezra as a low B. I think there's something there. I think the right deck might be able to do it. But is he better than, say, Kaz for heroic aggro? I'm not sure.
No, that's fair. You definitely made some good points. I love the Sentinel versus Saboteur point. I think Sentinel felt kind of thin in Law, and Ashes is bringing it back in full force. So that's going to be something to watch.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to our other aggression heroism leader, the Mandalorian. So he is, when you take initiative, you may pay 1 resource if you do draw a card. So coming right back to that reaction thing, it's essentially you're getting 2 actions in 1 here, right? So initiative and a card draw. And then he flips on 6 and is a 4/6, which is notable. Some of our other 6 flips have been 4/7s. But his unit side has support, which I love. And then on attack, if you have the initiative, you may draw a card. So essentially we're seeing not a free card draw every turn, but a potential for a card draw every turn. And then on his flip turn, a potential for 2, right? And weirdly, I think he might be the better aggro leader.
I don't even think that's weird, but keep going.
Yeah. Just with having aggressive negotiations is present, so getting that hand advantage. So same thing with the hammerhead. You can, drop that space unit, clear a sentinel to clear the board potentially. And then he's getting that extra card draw. So as long as he's, as long as he has initiative, he can get stuff in play. But his big weakness is your opponent can claim initiative. So if you're playing against him, your 5 resources, maybe you just skip a couple of attacks, you take initiative, and now he's in an awkward place where if he's playing aggro, does he not flip and wait till 7? Or does he just miss out on both of the card draws from that flip?
Yeah.
And so I think he's decent. I think there is a fun kind of off meta deck with him, like with the Grogu unit and things like that. Like there's going to be some fun play there. I just don't think it's going to be competitive. So I'm gonna put him in B again. A deck that that has juice if you don't know what you're doing against it, but is easily interruptible.
Okay. I think we're probably a little closer now on this one. I actually do agree that he's probably a bit better of an aggro leader than Ezra, and because of that, I'm higher on him. I think I'd probably give him a B as well. I think he interacts interestingly. I think most of us that have been playing the game for a while now have become aware of how kind of important the initiative, let's say, sub game is or can be. And even within the past, this past week at the draft I was at, I definitely remember we were on maybe R6 or 7, something like that. Just like making an attack and then claiming initiative and skipping even playing anything at all that round just for the initiative game to ensure I got the lethal attack next round, that kind of thing. And it's interesting to me to see leaders and cards that, let's say, fully embrace that. And I think that probably, you mentioned that it could be easy to disrupt, but I think that, how to phrase this? I think there's a high skill ceiling here on the pacing of taking initiative versus your attacks, especially for what is likely a pretty aggressive deck here. But I think there's also a fairly high skill ceiling on the back end of that, on attempting to disrupt it and not potentially wasting your turns incorrectly to try to stop the Mandalorian. And instead, all you've done is arrest your own development or attacks and then given them the rest of that round to kind of freely do whatever they want. So I'm very intrigued here to see how that skill requirement goes on both ends of things. And I will say I'm flipping over here to just a search in general, because I think he's also the leader we've seen that kind of best encourages heavy use of the support keyword, which thankfully he has. So I wanted to take a quick little look about what else we've got. And I think you are 100% right about things needing to be red, yellow. There's a couple red heroic options, 3 yellow heroic, a few neutral yellow. I would be curious, since support's new, I need to play with it more and try to get a feel for that pacing. And just trying to go all in on support and see what happens. Maybe that's another deck list I write up soon and run it through a few games to see how it goes. So
yeah, I mean, I'd be curious to see how it goes for sure. I mean, I'm a little bit more hot on coming back to the previous episode, the new Thrawn leader, and I think he similarly really benefits from the support keyword because so many of his interactions are determined by the number of units, and that just gives you the ability to attack with an additional unit. So,
yeah. That makes sense. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just agreeing.
No, you're good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, do we pop over to our next one then? Keep moving to our final color, or final aspect, whatever. So we're on to Villainy Cunning right now. Emperor Palpatine. Action. Choose an exhausted friendly unit. Give an advantage token to it for each other friendly unit. Then he deploys on 7 as a 4/8. And on attack, you may choose another exhausted friendly unit. If you do, give an advantage token to it for each other friendly unit. So this is the other of our spotlight deck leaders, along with Luke. Both of them coming out later in the game, deploying on 7. And I think, boy, I want to like this, right? I'm excited to see a cunning Emperor Palpatine. I love the art, that type of thing. But I do think this ability is distinctly weaker. I do think the 4/8 stat line is a little lacking on 7, especially without a keyword or something to back that up. And his ability is just slow, right? You're only ever giving it to a unit that's already exhausted. In a lot of scenarios, because you give it an advantage token for each other friendly, so it can't count itself. So you have to have a relatively wide board, at least 2 units to even get 1 advantage token out of this, to effectively get 1 ping, so to speak, if you think of an advantage token as 1 damage.
Right.
And I just think that is far too slow and fiddly. And if I'm in a spot where I'm able to drop, 3 or 4 advantage tokens on something, I feel like I'm probably in a really good spot in the game anyway. Like, why do I need that ability? I just don't think it works. I guess I should give him a letter. I think Palpatine is unfortunately a D.
Yeah, I think we're in the same page here. We didn't, I guess, specifically say it with the last couple of leaders, but advantage is in a lot of ways a slightly worse ping, right? It's a delayed ping. It's an interruptible ping, and now it's interruptible to make an interruptible ping because first your opponent could just keep you from having additional units on the board. Then you put them on this unit. Your opponent could get rid of this unit before it can ever do anything. Like, I don't know. Best bet is you're trying to do trades, maybe. Like you're doing this, and then you're playing dogfight or something to be able to attack with that unit right away. Maybe a haymaker or something like that, where you're getting some benefit out of the attack value of that unit this round. But it's still, like you said, it's slow. Like you're really having to work to try to figure out how to do that. The board wants to go wide, but he flips on 7. Usually wide boards are more aggressive boards. Like maybe we're doing I'm trying to just guess here. Like if I was trying to build, I'd probably try to do something weird. Like, maybe the splash green base to try to do a go wide unity of purpose type thing. But But if I'm doing the unity of purpose, chances are that's trying to win on 6 before he ever flips.
Yeah.
So why am I using Palp for that? So yeah, I'm going to agree. D tier.
Yeah. I've got to say, there's something about reading this ability that makes me feel like originally you just chose a friendly unit and gave it an advantage for every other friendly unit, and that there was some kind of overpowered yellow villain aggro deck in testing, and it kind of the last minute they just said, okay, fine, make it the exhausted unit.
Right.
And while I don't super love it, even if it wasn't the exhausted unit, like you said, advantage is a would you say a delayed ping, and this is even more exceptionally delayed by the exhausted unit.
Yeah.
It's just way too slow.
Right. Okay. There's the card from Jump to Light Speed that makes, is it a 7 cost that makes 7 TIE fighters?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah. I forget
Okay.
the name of it now.
So I'm just thinking, once again, going with how do I build this deck? I think that's what you do. You try to survive until 7, and you need one thing on the board. Or no, I guess you need 2 things on the board, because what you want, or no, just one, because you drop 7 TIE fighters with one action.
Yep.
Then you exhaust him to whatever your one unit, or no, it has to be exhausted. So whatever, you drop 7 TIE fighters.
Yep.
You exhaust him to put a bunch of advantage on one thing. You flip him. You do it to another one. And now you have 14 damage or something like that. 13. Yeah, 14 damage. A single TIE fighter that has, say, 14 attack.
Yeah.
Now if you can claim and it survives, then you have a chance of one-shotting on 8. But once again, this is trying hard to make work.
Way too hard.
Right.
I mean, on the plus side, I suppose those hypothetical TIE fighters are safe from Cad since they've only got 1 HP.
That's true. But so there's your exhausted reason, right? It's theoretically, if you could have the one thing that's readied, and you could on his flip turn add 14 attack to that thing, that might be a one-trick pony that's a little bit too good.
Maybe. I tentatively, I would have said, let's give it to them. If they want to play something that fiddly, that comes down on turn 7 at the earliest, sure, that sounds like a deck. But alas, that's not the world we live in.
No, it is not. All right. So moving up to our other villainy leader here, Shin Hati. So her leader side is, when a friendly unit's attack ends, you may exhaust this leader. If you do, exhaust a unit that costs less than the amount of combat damage dealt to a base of this attack. And then she flips on 6 as a 4/6. And essentially it's the same thing except for no exhaust, right? When a friendly unit's attack ends, when a friendly unit's attack ends, you may exhaust a unit that costs less than the amount of combat damage dealt to a base this attack. Use this ability only once each round. So it's still once, but it's and it's still a reaction. So I tentatively like Shin. Like, I think there's exhausting is strong. I think like has the potential to be really strong or limited, frankly. But there's a lot of ways to go with this. She's yellow, so she works well with, like, Saboteur is going to be present for her. The Shin unit, the 4/2 hidden shielded, plays really well with her. And it's a little bit of an initiative game here. You have initiative, you have the potential to exhaust their unit before they ever get to do anything, and that can potentially steamroll really fast. So I'm pretty, like, hot on her, all things considered, honestly. Like,
hot.
And this is well, I want you to know this is tricky for me because I don't like playing yellow as a rule. Like, blue, green, red are blue is my favorite color to play.
Okay.
Yellow, I do it occasionally, but I struggle. For some reason, I just struggle with that gameplay style. but Shin feels like a lot of potential to me in a yeah. So honestly, do I want to give her eight? I might want to give her A tier. Like I have no deck to prove it, but I'm going to go on a limb and give her an A tier here.
Dang, you talked yourself up to it. I thought you were going to go with a B, and I could swoop in and say, you know what, I'm going A, but I guess we're on the same page here. Um, I do have to say, color wise, I lean much more into blue and yellow as kind of my favorites, and kind of bounce back and forth on green and red depending on if there's a specific card that interests me. Um, so, well, without going too far back in things, I historically in other games really like exhaust, tap, kneel type of effects and decks that lean heavily into that type of thing. And conveniently, that's been color coded as yellow in past FFG games, so I get to enjoy that here as well. And I enjoy this character. I think the art is sick, and that showcase they showed off the other day. Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
So that said, I am excited that all of that lines up here as well with unit or with a leader that I think is actually quite good. I, I think there's a gut reaction, certainly. My first blush, and probably some other people's too, is to hope that you can build kind of a maybe not a truly hard control deck here with it, but something that does just exhaust all of your opponent's stuff over and over and over, and really make it a slog for them. And I don't think that is just going to happen in the structure of SWU unless they give us some really different cards. But that said, my thought here is there is probably something in kind of more of an aggressive mid-range, kind of a classical tempo here in quotes deck. That this is just bread and butter for it, where your value is just always better than them. And I'm pretty excited to explore that. I think it might be a little different than some of the Force stuff we've seen before. Honestly, I don't know off the top of my head if you're really playing any of the Force token required effects, even if playing some of the units like say the Shin unit and such that you mentioned. So this could be a little different. I think maybe this pairs back with red on the villainy side. Just kind of add to that tempo disruption, your interrogation droids and things like that. I'm excited to see where this goes. So yeah, I give Shin an A.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think I agree with you on the Force side. I don't think there's quite enough going on with Yellow Force specifically for her. Like I'd have to go back and like look through, sort of the set 5 stuff is like she and Flurry with an overwhelm unit or something like that might be interesting, but like I just don't know if there's a combo there to really do that. But in some ways though, I could see her, in any color. Like she does play well with like some of those ambush things to clear the board. So you're threatening to take initiative, whatever they play, you can exhaust it. Like so, like having the stranger, weird things like the new the set 7 Jango Fett, like where potentially you can exhaust 2 units if they're going wide. I don't know. There's a lot you can do there.
One thing I do want to throw out there real quick, her exhaust, on both sides, is only based off of the damage dealt to a base. So ambush doesn't quite line up as well, since that's got to go after a unit.
Right. I mean, so I'm thinking the ambush for the trade. So if they have a unit on the board, you have nothing. Let's say you do something like the stranger, you ambush into the trade, and then they play unit, you claim initiative. Now you can attack the base before they have a chance to attack with that unit. There's a lot of like sequencing. I think that ambush helps with her.
Okay, I can see that.
But sure, there's things like the weird things like the Celestian Sapper, right, where you can ambush overwhelm, you ambush one unit and get the overwhelm. There's things there that are interesting. But yeah, I think we'll see. It sounds like we're both excited to toy around with early. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All right. On to the heroic end of cunning. Okay. Next up, we've got Greef Karga. He says, when you play or create a unit, you may exhaust this leader. If you do, give an advantage token to that unit. He deploys on 6 as a 4/7 and has the same old, when you play or create a unit, give an advantage token to that unit. I think the stats here are perfectly acceptable. Sadly, he does not say or deploy, so he does not give himself an advantage token when he comes out. But as I think other people have been exploring now, you were talking about ambush in the context of Shin, but ambush is fantastic with Greef. There's several units that suddenly hit a new breakpoint as soon as you give them that one more attack. The instant they come in on ambush, off the top of my head, I played a lot of Obi-Wan Yellow last year. That's what I took to Galactics and the Open and that sort of thing. And I love Depa Balaba, whatever her, however I should pronounce that. But there were so many times where I just desperately needed her to have one more attack to be able to take out whatever I needed to take out. And Greef solves that problem. He solves that problem all the way up and down your cost curve. And I love that. I think he will be quite strong. I think I'm willing to give Greef an A.
Yeah. I mean, you're not right. So Depa Finn is the other. I did a sealed in Lawless Time where I pulled two Finns and got to do a yellow blue deck with just a ridiculous ambush. But there's just enough like leaders, for example, who have 7 health. Finn can't quite take them out. With Greef, now he can. And so those trades are just really powerful with him. Honestly, I think he's probably potentially S tier and limited. I know we're not really talking about limited, but it's like that. The thing on his unit side is it's not limited to once per turn. So potentially, like if you've have the hand, you can just drop a bunch of ships, and they all get, they all get the advantage. I can see, putting them in green, you drop Queen Amidala, all 3 get the advantage token, things like that, right?
Yeah.
So there's definitely ways to really maximize that, and I think there's a lot of potential there. It still has the weakness that advantage tokens are slow pings, but they can be pinged to base or unit, so they're flexible. But I'm going to put him as a B, though. I do think he's strong. I just don't think he's as strong in Premier as in as First Blush. I think there's just enough that interrupts that. I think you've got your shielded sentinels and things like that, and he doesn't solve all that. And I think once he's interrupted, it's difficult to really. It's difficult for him to recover.
Hey, babe. Oh, just another few minutes. We're almost done. Yeah. Yeah. I definitely agree. In limited, he has an extra edge, but and he's a common there, so he's going to show up. But we don't need to go too far down that particular route. I just think he's got a lot of options. If you think of him kind of as a ping leader as well, like we've been talking about advantage tokens. I suppose he's maybe not quite as efficient at that as Cad, but I think he comes close, right? Just pinging every time you play a unit effectively, without any other criteria on that. Yeah, I'm excited to explore this one more.
Yeah, I'm curious. He is one I'm curious to see what other people do with. And Shin, I am. Shin is my yellow leader that I've said I have interest in. The rest of these, I'm excited to see what other people do. But like I said, it's a color I am generally struggle to be as excited about, regardless of how good they may or may not be.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on to our final and first to be revealed leader of the set, thanks to the Mandalorian Grogu movie. Grogu, his leader side has no ability. However, his deploy is a little bit different. When you play a unique unit that costs 4 or more, if this leader is ready, you may deploy him. So notably, that means you can deploy him over and over and over again, as long as you're playing units for him to deploy with. So on his unit side, he's a 0/3 force unit. And when another friendly unit is defending, it gets +1/+0. When another friendly unit is attacking, or is attacking, the defending unit gets -1/-0. So I want there to be something here. I really want there to be something here. And like obviously the idea is his leader unit side has nothing because he should always be out as a unit. Essentially, you're missing the first 2 turns of the two rounds of the game, and then ideally he is out there all the time, doing something. But he's not doing a lot. He's a 0/3. The most interesting thing I've been able to think about with him is that every time he deploys, you can plot with him, which means you can do some interesting things potentially with using plot cards more often. But that those math changes are interesting. There's something there, but I don't think it's at all like competitive. So I'm actually he's going to be my second F tier leader of the set, alongside Gunner. Yeah. It's a cute idea, but I think the downsides are just so much more than the upsides. Like once again, maybe in a Twin Suns thing, maybe there's a really weird eternal deck where you're exploiting the Grogu over and over again to play other things, but I don't think there's anything in Premiere for him.
Yeah, I have to agree. Honestly, he's kind of memey, and as much as I applaud FFG for trying out some leaders with some really weird different effects and things like that, like I love exploring kind of the breadth of design space that's possible here. Like the old was a Twilight of the Republic Palpatine, right? That never even becomes a unit, things like that. So I'm excited for Grogu kind of from that perspective. But I just think a leader that effectively has, not effectively, straight up printed has no leader ability and itself also has no attack at all. It is just so hard to overcome. That's such a huge hump to get over. You can do some kind of neat stuff, like you said, plotting multiple times. And, in theory, he's coming out multiple times a game. If your opponent's spending the time to attack and kill him, you can sort of look at him as an extra, 3, 6, 9, whatever health to your base. But is that worth it to effectively have no leader at that point? Gosh, I just don't know that lines up. But you did mention Twin Sons, and there's a part of me that wants to tinker with him in Twin Sons for the giggles of some of the leader deploy bases. I already really love the droid manufactory and making lots of droids there off of deploys. Man, being able to just keep chaining Grogu over and over and just pumping out battle droid after battle droid. I mean, that sounds pretty fun, but that's a different format.
Yes, it is. Yeah. I mean, I'm now thinking, like, do you do something really weird, like Grogu with the flippy Palpatine, so that you can go villainy for all your big yellow exploit units, and then your double yellow green.
Oh gosh.
One leader who never deploys, another one who always deploys.
Oh wow, that I want someone to explore that for the lols. I don't know that I could bring myself to deconstruct or pull any pieces out of my Palpatine Yoda deck right now. I think that's my favorite Twin Sons, but boy, we're really about to open a can of worms talking all kinds of Twin Sons.
Oh, there's so much there. I'm just on that deck. This is just coming into my head now, but one more thought is, Palp wants Grogu to die. Grogu can die over and over again, and then let him flip.
Oh my goodness, you're right. You are so right. Okay, all right. We can get cooking.
So,
I think
we have a mean Twin Sun stack for Grogu. There we go.
Yes, that's his best hope. Well, good. I think, boy, it doesn't get much better of a note than that to end on, does it?
No, I don't think so.
Well, Alex, thank you for joining me, listeners, viewers. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to float the idea here at the end again. Hit up the SWU.report website. Support us on Coffee so we can cover hosting, subscribe, all of that jazz. Alex, you got any parting thoughts?
Mostly I'm just excited for the set. Like, there's a lot of fun stuff here, and I'm excited to see what but also you all come up with the set. So honestly, share with us, right? Like, if you have any ideas for cool decks with any of these that you think we're right about, or that we're completely off base about, I'm always excited to see people's decks. So show them.
Yeah, exactly. Show us, reach out, say something. We got a couple YouTube comments already, so yeah, let us know. Otherwise, may the force be with you.
And with you.
Thank you.